paid to go there, work during the day, and then go off into the festival, which was fucking epic. So Herbs became my life. They saved my life, essentially. Yanni, and I guess the inspiration behind it is that even if we believe that we're going to be judged to be ugly for doing something or moving in a certain way, or do it anyway because it's important for the greater whole, like if it's expressed from the heart, it's beautiful. Hell, are you like serious? Just moments where I was just like in that much shock that I was able to not be emotional like in the moment and just be like, wow, like this happened. That's absolutely mental.
Welcome, my beautiful brothers and sisters, to part 2 of my two-parter with a very good friend of mine, Wzrdry. So you heard it's part 2. Episode 16 is the second part of my conversation with this person. So if you haven't seen part 1 to get the whole context, know where he's come from and all that, go check out episode 15. Now, you might remember, if you have seen that Mr. Wzrdry didn't realise that he was allowed to swear and talk about adult-themed stuff. So he was saying, use your imagination, use your imagination. Well, this is Wzrdry explicit, uncensored. This is his journey where he starts to go into the herbalism, the astrology, goes and lives in Croatia where, well, I'm not going to give it away, but you can imagine living in Croatia, quite solitude life, you know, getting in touch with nature. You've heard of Arignani, that's where the inspiration for the dance Arignani starts coming in. And also, he starts getting into the music more and more. He meets Nikki Cohen. Actually, Nikki Cohen was in episode 12, so if you've not seen that, she's the person behind Temple. Well, Wzrdry is a massive part of that, so it's all about his DJing, about that love starts coming in, he's producing. And I'll tell you what, I've just been to the latest Temple, and then last Friday was the House of the Dragon. No, not House of the Dragon, that's a show. No, Dance of the Dragons up in Anglesey in Wales, and it was so good. So if you see Temple or you see Dance of the Dragons, I can't recommend it enough. It was ridiculous. Go check Nikki Cohen out. Go check Wzrdry out part 1. But now it's time for episode 16, part 2 with Wzrdry. Now, before I do that, actually, because I'm always forgetting and I always have to remind myself, likes and shares. You won't believe how much it helps the show grow. I've got some beautiful guests. I want to get more beautiful guests on. And with your support, even just one person, it's like those stones that we skip, just next person it goes, and you never know. You never know where this show can go. And then there's a little subscribe bit on YouTube, so if you don't want to miss any of the other shows, you can try that. Now, enough about me. Oh, wait. One more thing about me. Meditation with Michael. So, classes every Monday, 6:30 to 7:30. You can attend the Resonance Centre in Manchester. If you're not in Manchester or you've just had a tough day, you can't be bothered, you can join online from home. And you can even ask for up to a month a recording of the class for half price. One-to-one sessions. I love coming in and helping you on a more deeper level. So if you want to customize it and really develop your meditation practice, find that power within, I am here for that. Plus we've got the events. So I've just done yesterday. It was the first one I've done and I've redone it. Sell out, beautiful. It was the floating meditation journey at Transmute called The Human Experience. Next one is going to be called A Journey Home. It is Return to Zion, but we had a bit of a thing with the branding. I don't know if everyone knows what Zion is and what Jar is, so we've called it A Journey Home. Rastafari Reflections. And it's all about that reggae vibe, that equality, getting in touch with nature, social justice, being rid of Babylon whilst sitting in a hammock after you've had a lovely cacao ceremony and a bit of breath work. So that's myself, all promoted up, got the icky bit out of the way. Now, here's a little bit about what's going down at Transmute. You know how much I love me some Transmute. Well, it's a new year, so of course there's new things to tell you about. What new things, Michael? Well, about the African dance classes. Or maybe what would be the reason for the dances. So, DJ lessons. And I can't wait for my own DJ lesson. DJ Moksha coming soon. Keep an eye out. And then we've got Jams Mute. I tell you, bring an instrument, maybe it's even just your voice, maybe you just want to enjoy the atmosphere, but come down to a Jams Mute and just express yourself through that sound. Now, if you might just have something as simple as a birthday or an event, something you want to host yourself, you know, you can rent the room out. It's for hire. And then they got all the old stuff that they're doing as well. You know, the classics. We've got Mustafa doing his magical drum class with the African drumming. Or you want to take care of your fitness, we've got extreme hip hop. Or we've got the caveman group training. Trust me, they test you. And then we've got the ceremonial ecstatic dance through Arignani, done by the incredible Wzrdry. And that one, the magic that he weaves, my words are pointless. You have to come and experience it. We've even got the sound baths, or if you're Ruben, a sound waterfall. And you know, I like using them hammocks as well. So we've got floating meditation journeys, hammock, meditation, music, take you on a story of epicness, if that's a word. We've even got cacao ceremony before it, and transmorphic breath work comes in as well, just to make sure you're right in the zone before you even get in that hammock. And then we got the old stuff as well, like workshops with Art of the Cosmos. I went to the grief one where you're allowed to release through TRE or the naturopathic nutrition. Ugh, the amount of different stuff they've got going on. The only way you're actually going to know is go down to transmutestudio.co.uk and have a little look, because that's where creativity meets awareness and they both play.
So I was kind of pissed off because my identity was gone, and I started to get worried, like, shit, like, are people going to like me? You know, if I'm not bringing that to them.
Yeah, because that's your thing, isn't it? Like, I need them to...
Are they my friends because of that? Of course they weren't, because they were good people, but obviously they were shocked, and I felt that shock. It's like, oh, you having a joint? It's like, no. And they're like, what? And it was almost like, you know, if there were, it's almost like a reaction of like, oh, disgust. It was like, whoa, it was such a shock. It was like seeing a spider, if you essentially, you know, like, whoa.
So you were that, that was David, basically.
Yeah, exactly. That was my identity. Like, I had the dreads, and which I still have. I get asked a lot if I still do, which I don't. But so it was gone. So I had a little identity crisis. Like, who the fuck am I? Who am I now? If I'm not that, who am I? Like, fuck you, Kambo. Like, who do you think you are, taking that away?
Yeah.
You know, possibly my intention was around, like, focus or something like that. So it took out the thing that I was using to avoid, like, dealing with the things that it didn't help my focus. I was avoiding the things that were disrupting them. I was avoiding the emotions. I wasn't sitting with them. I was putting a plaster over them. So then I had a few years of sitting with these things and learning how to do that, which is what Croatia was, essentially.
Croatia.
For me, yeah, exactly. So in that time, like, I think I was vegan, definitely vegetarian, not doing anything, not drinking, not doing any sort of, like, drugs. I wasn't even doing cacao, you know. I was just, like, flat. Eating really healthily, too healthily, which is another sword that I had. Purity, being pure, and, like, shaming myself for not being pure. But I was still, like, wasn't fully engaged in life. Like, plastering started to dry up. Like, certain things were going on where I was, like, low on money.
That was no pun intended, was it?
What?
The plastering
Oh,
started
certain things were going on. Yeah.
Dad joke for you, everybody. Then.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so life was flat again. I wasn't doing any rugby, any sports. Like, I was barely working. I was just living at home and just, like, what was I even doing?
I think that says it all, right?
I don't think I was doing anything. I was probably going out every once in a while, like, to Wear-Edge project and stuff like that. I had interest in those things. And wasn't doing much else, and just really felt like a piece of shit, like dreg, essentially. And I might have been doing astrology readings or something like that. I was still in the conscious community. Yeah, it's an interesting one, that. There's a block, maybe that'll come in later on. But anyway, things weren't going. Nah, completely wrong. At that time, I had a girlfriend that I was with, but I was, again, pretty depressed about the way life was going. But I was still had that connection and that desire to go further and to move on. I think I may have been doing started astrology at that time.
Well, I'll tell you what, where do we go from there then?
So basically, I was a trained plasterer, psychoplaster, and my girlfriend at the time, Becky, her friend was working with this yogi in London, and this yogi needed his studio plastering in London. So she said, "You want to go and do it?" So I went and did it and worked hard, and plastered the studio. But I got speaking to this yogi, and he's probably expecting just a plasterer, and it's like, well, actually, I've got a degree. I'm doing this. I am into permaculture, so I was learning things and studying things and picking things up and all these sorts of things. Into herbalism, I'm into all of it. That's what was going on then. An important part of the wizard story is there, but I'll just carry on for now and then just come back. So he was like, "Oh, I've got this project in Croatia. It's not started yet, but you go there. We'll pay for everything that you need. Won't pay you a wage at the beginning, but we'll pay for everything, and you just develop it, And then there was a few things that were said, "Oh, you'll have an apartment by 3 months," and no, my girlfriend at the time was up for it, and it was this wow, what a amazing opportunity, And again, when I mentioned before, I asked for, no bills to deal with, nothing to deal with, just to be able to do what I want to do, and that's what it was.
That was exactly what was coming to my mind then.
Yeah, exactly, and it's yes, can't
you were
wait.
Green light, let's do it, thumbs up.
Green light, let's do it. Yeah, exactly. I thought about it for a moment, and I pretended to be an adult, and I was like, "Oh, just let me have a think about it, because I've got so much going on in my life."
Just play it cool.
Yeah, I've got, I've got so much going on, so
it's a big decision.
It's a maybe, but spoke about it, and it was like, "Yep, let's go. I'm down." So, but at this time, which is very interesting, I went for an astrology reading at the Wzrdry, and the guy looked at my astrology chart, and he's like, "You're a wizard. You need to be a herbalist." And he was saying all these things that I wanted to hear, because it was like, yes, I knew it. I knew I was special. And
you're that wizard, David.
Exactly. And I had this skin condition, and it was a weird one. It didn't itch, but it was all over my upper body. It was just red rashes everywhere, and it was there for 8 years. I'd had it for, and it was when I started plastering, actually. As soon as I started plastering, it came, and people were like, "Oh, it's a reaction, it's hereditary." The doctors didn't have a clue, which I'm really grateful for. In fact, I went to the doctors and mentioned a few things that was wrong with me, especially colon stuff as well, because I didn't eat well when I was a child. And he was like, "It's your diet." And at that time, I was like, "Yeah, my diet's normal." And I was like, "I'm never going to doctors again," because I thought the good advice was bad advice. So I was really fortunate in that matter. So anyway, I didn't believe in doctors then. It was like, no doctors. So this astrologer going, "You're a herbalist," and I'm like, "Oh, it's pressure on me now. This guy thinks I'm a herbalist, so I need to start learning herbalism." So I got books and started learning, and then I decided I'm going to figure out this condition of mine, and I'm going to heal it with herbs. And so I went at it. I had a lot of time because I wasn't working, and then I was looking at YouTube, and I came across this guy called Sage Popham, Evolutionary School of Herbalism, and he started to talk about astroherbalism and how the planets can relate to different organ parts, and so can plants have the same energetic signature, because we live in an energetic vibrational universe. Therefore, if things have similar qualities, they've got a similar vibration, therefore having something of a similar vibration can complement something that's missing from another vibration, from the same vibration, essentially. So it's like adding harmony to a melody. It gives it so much more. So I was like, whoa. So that opened the door to astrology. So I was like, I'm going to do one better. I'm not going to figure out through anatomy. I'm going to figure out my condition through astrology. So this is just before Croatian. We'll get back to Croatia, don't worry. I haven't forgot about it. This is just an important part of the story.
No, this is your story, man. And if this is important, let's get it in.
Yeah, of course.
Who on earth is you? It's clearly this is important to you.
So I started studying astro-herbalism. I started studying medical astrology. And how the different planets and the different signs rule different body parts. Just as they rule different parts of our psychology and different parts of our reality, they rule different body parts and different systems connected with those body parts. I'm not going to go into them all because we'll be here all day.
Yeah, we've got about 50 minutes left.
Maybe I should do a course in it. I wanted to do that. I tried to do it a few times, but
when the time's right.
Yeah, exactly. Musician, screw all that at the moment. Anyway, we'll see. But so I looked at my astrology and I got to know it well. I've been for a couple of astrology readings and they both said similar things, like, you know, you're an alien, you're a wizard, you're a herbalist, like, you know, you're a healer, like, you ain't going to be much else.
There's a pattern.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you're not just gone to one guy and gone, right, that's gospel.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, I felt it my entire life that I'm a bit weird in a good way. So I was like, right, I'm taking this on, and I got a real vigor for it, and I was looking at my astrology, and I was like, right, okay, like, I know I've had a colon problem before, which turning vegan and detoxifying really helped. So Pluto rules the colon. Scorpio rules the colon. My Pluto's in Scorpio. Pluto is a constricting planet, so that's a constricted colon. So I was like, right, okay, that could be one thing that's an issue. And it's like, okay, so Jupiter is in Gemini. Like, Gemini is like sort of dry. It's also, Gemini is communication. Like, Mars is also conjunct Jupiter in Gemini. And they're in the 12th house. The 12th house is like the house of hidden things. You know, it's like Pisces, which is, it's the space in between. It's sort of like the, I guess, the web of the universe.
Well, to me, that's the tapestry which everything else plays out on. It's the space element, it's the ether.
It's the quantum material. So it's hidden. So it's like, that's a hidden thing. So it's probably something to do with that. I've got a lot of Pisces in my chart as well. Like, Mars is like inflammation, you know, it's the red planet. So it's like an inflamed liver, like with an unknown, mysterious condition that's probably like affected by my communication. And I wasn't saying what I needed to say. So I was like, right, okay, so inflamed liver, what's the liver responsible for? Storing and getting rid of toxins. It's like, okay, so here we go. We got where we excrete from is constricted, where what organises it is inflamed, and it's like, right, okay, what else? And it's like Saturn in Capricorn, directly conjunct Neptune, in the 8th house as well, of Scorpio, of transcending limitations, so to speak. So again, Saturn is constricting. If anyone knows about the Saturn return, who's experienced a Saturn return, you'll know that. Neptune rules Pisces in the 12th house, so there's the playoff there, the hidden, the the unknown, I guess the fabric of the universe, essentially, that keeps working and doesn't obey the laws of physics, you know. So I was like, right, okay, so what is Capricorn? Capricorn's the skin, and it's like, okay, so that's constriction of the skin and an issue of the skin. And I was like, right, so what do I need to do? So I need to open up the skin pores, and I knew my skin pores were closed because I go in a sauna and I'd itch for a while and then they'd open and then I'd sweat. So I knew they were tight, so I was like, that makes complete sense. I hadn't made that thing. I was just like, why do I feel weird in the sauna? Does everyone feel like this? Knew the colon was an issue, and so I thought, I need to relax my colon, I need to relax my skin, and I need to condition my liver, and then we'll see. And then because my destiny was to be a herbalist, I was like, right, I can't just buy these off Amazon.
Yeah,
you know
it needs to be.
I need to make them. It's like, where do I find them? So I looked in my book, and then I found the herbs that I needed, and I created this list. Like, these are the herbs I need, and it was agrimony, burdock, cleaver, teasel, and yarrow. Knew where to find yarrow. Yarrow's not a problem. Yarrow's like quite common in this country, but due to our fascination with sheep and whatever we use them for in the hills, like sheep, which I learnt in my thingy. Cows, when they eat grass, like they wrap the tongue around it and rip the roots up. The sheep shave, so they shave the plants and then the grass dominates, which is why we don't have as many herbs as we used to, because grass has dominated the fields where the herbs grow. So I didn't know where to find any of these herbs. And then the opportunity for Croatia came. I moved to Croatia, and we know how I got there. And they didn't have any sheep. The flowering meadows were just full of herbs. And I'd say within 40 minutes, I found every one of the herbs on my list apart from one. Like, every one. And I was just like... Oh.
And the wizard was born. It feels like, as well, just a little insight I got, because I could feel that was really important for you to share with the audience. It felt like purpose was starting to come into your life a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think that is a connection to yourself, connection to others, connection to nature, but connection to purpose, meaning.
Yeah.
And people who are depressed, only speaking for myself, to be honest, it was when purpose came in.
Yeah.
That was when it was like...
This is what I've realised recently, like stress it comes when we're not doing what we're supposed to do. As soon as you start doing something, you're happy.
You can put me in hell. Have I got a bloody reason to be there? Or am I just a victim?
Yeah.
Totally same scenario, but my energy going into it, bump, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's for this reason.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, that was something that was really coming to me, that you just... I felt like the passion coming out of you, and it was almost like I was watching you relive it.
Yeah, that day when I found those herbs, that was like, that was experiencing joy, and it's like, this feels great, sort of thing.
Because I know there was a lot of technical stuff there for people.
Yeah.
But there was like this denouement at the end. It was like,
and
then I was there in Croatia.
Yeah, exactly. It was like, I've been an actor my entire life, and then finally I was given a part that felt right. That was it. So I was like, right, okay. So then it was like, right, okay. I need to get some alcohol, which was difficult because I was in the middle of nowhere. So when my girlfriend came over, she bought some, and I started making tinctures. And you mentioned that I mentioned that I found every...
We're all one, it's cool.
Every one, apart from one. And then we were out on a drive, and I was there with Scott. And I just looked out the window, and the plant that it was teasel. And teasel, if you don't know, it looks like a thistle. It's like 8 feet tall. You can't miss it.
So it's not just hard to find either.
It's
in terms of visually.
Yeah, visually, it's I've seen it quite a lot around here now. But like, I've actually got a tincture in the kitchen. But yeah, that was the first time I've ever seen it. And I saw it, and I was like, stop! And he was thinking like, shit, I've run over a dog, I've run over a cat, the dogs have jumped out the back of the van. And he was like, what? And it's like, teasel. And I just sort of like ran, and like, I was like, oh my God. And I just had
the missing link.
And it's burdock and teasel, it's hard to get the roots, because it's the roots that you need. So I was there, and I just had this little knife, and I was like frantically digging at the ground to get these roots, and like, he was like, why don't you just like come back, you know where they are, just come back with a tool. It's like, okay, good point, I will do that. Came back, and Scott, bless him, at the time, like, he was just listening to my things, and I was an excited child. I'd like read the books, and I knew quite a lot, and this is one of the most magical moments in my life, which really like pushed me forward. So I looked quite a lot into the folklore because of the herbs, like how I guess tribes like the Native Americans like classified them, and they classified them as animals. You know, animals have had a massive impact on humanity. If you like look at yoga, it's like downward facing dog. You know, it's always animals.
Animals, cats or the crocodile.
Exactly. Yeah. Animals taught us everything, and it's the same with them. And the animals taught the Native Americans what the herbs did. And teasel is a deer medicine. So it's also known as a cure for Lyme's disease. Not by many, but like there's herbalists have used it. And Lyme's disease is something that's caught from deer. You know, it's caught from a tick that's on a deer, but the tick absorbs the spirochetes that are responsible for making the deer's antlers. So what Lyme's disease is when these ticks bite you and these spirochetes get in you, they start to mine your bones to make antlers. But of course, you don't have the mechanisms to make the antlers, and you don't have the ability to process calcium fast enough to regenerate the bones. So it's a real horrific, painful thing. What teasel does is it strengthens the kidney yin, and if you look into Chinese medicine, the bones grow out of the kidneys. The kidneys balance the solids and the liquids, the spirit and the matter, and then the structure of us grows out of that. So if you want to improve your bone density, you improve your kidney yin in the Chinese. And what teasel does is it improves the kidney yin, so it strengthens the bones, which crushes the spirochetes. So it's a deer medicine anyway, because of these, probably not because of that, but they classified it as that, and it's proven that is a good classification of it. Also, deer spend a lot of time by it, and I suspect that's because it's so tall they can hide in it. So I was there, and I was just like proper excited, like a little kid going, yeah, it's a deer medicine, you know, like teasel, like I've looked for that for so long, it's the last one, it's gonna heal me, I was like, it's a deer medicine. And in that moment I saw, like, out of my periphery, I saw a deer's head, and in that moment I was like, oh, it's spirit telling me the deer. But before I could even finish that thought, something banged into the side of the van, just like went boof, and I was like, whoa, what the fuck? And a deer ran out of the forest, did like a drop kick on the van, and then just ran back into the forest in that moment.
That's mad, isn't it?
Yeah, and I was like, what the fuck? Because I didn't really believe it.
Yeah,
and Scott was like, shit. Like, you know, it was both unbelievable, and he was like trying to find a reason for it not to be.
The logical mind came in, but the universe went, how more obvious can I bloody make it for
exactly.
you? Yeah,
And he was like, okay.
Yeah, it's sent me shivers, that.
Yeah,
it's cool, that.
Because it was a big moment. His reaction was like, he was just like, okay, yeah, it's real.
Because he's quite, you were saying to me, like, he's quite on it as well, isn't he? So
yeah, like he is, but you know, he wasn't like fully. He wasn't fully embracing his imagination. He wasn't quite as I guess dramatic as I need to be.
So you found it. You've had a deer kick in the side.
Yeah,
I'm only saying this because I'm mindful of time. And I know obviously we could speak for hours.
We've still got to get
still in Croatia.
Yeah. So Croatia wasn't that long ago. But anyway, so got the herbs. Yeah. That happened, which really did it. And then I really got into the herbalism, and I was collecting them and making the herbs and like giving it to people in the area. I ended up going to a festival, like working on a herb stall, like Mordem Festival, which is a psytrance festival, which was amazing. I got, you know, paid to go there, work during the day, and then go off into the festival, which was fucking epic. So herbs became my life. They saved my life, essentially.
Yeah, you're always doing it. We'll just be walking somewhere and you'll be like, Mike, come have this.
Yeah, exactly.
Is it mugwort or something? That's for your dreams.
Yeah,
it's just, I mean, you were just planting the tree. That's when me and you really bonded, when we were planting the trees, weren't we, together?
Exactly.
Mike, come have a bit of this.
Exactly. And you just, you know, you give someone sorrel and they're like, oh my God.
But you meet some
people. You know everything. It's like, I know nothing, but I know quite a lot.
But the thing is, man, some people feel like they're talking, but they're not living it.
Yeah.
And then some people, like a Reuben, like an Echo, like that's when I'm with, because I've obviously spent a lot of time with you. It's like, nah, this guy is the fucking Earth Wizard.
Yeah, well, you know, that's who I was. People didn't know me. Like, Will had mentioned the Earth Wizard's coming back, and people were like, who is the Earth Wizard? I didn't have an identity, you know, because I'd been gone for so long. I was
sorry for interrupting you, but
away for 2.5 years. But anyway, the condition, within 5 months, it was gone. It's never come back, ever. Like, not even slightly. Not even like, oh my God, it's coming back. You know, it was just gone. And I was like, whoa. There's a few occasions, like one of the workers got bit by a tick and he started to get the red ring around it, which is like Lyme's disease or some disease. I gave him the teasel. He was off for a day, and then he came back and he was like hugging and kissing me. He was like, oh my God, you saved my life, didn't you? And I was like, I don't know if I did. I just gave him some teasel and
Your logical mind still going.
Yeah, I'm not going to claim that. I was sort of aware of pride and that, so I'm not going to claim that. I was trying to be humble.
You didn't reach the top of the mountain. You weren't trying to blag it anymore.
Yeah, exactly. That didn't serve me. That nearly killed me. So, but the thing about Croatia, most of the time, it was me and Scott. No one else. There was Croatian workers that worked there, but they didn't speak English. So
Had the girlfriend gone then?
Yeah. That she didn't spend that much time there. She had a job back at home and stuff like that, and then we ended up breaking up just because of the distance, and we just started to drift apart.
Happens.
That's a whole other story. Yeah. But it was a nice breakup, shall we say?
Amicable. Yeah,
amicable. So I was there on my own most of the time, and I was working on the land. Then I'd help if it needed plastering or if I needed help. So me and Scott were separate. I spent 90% of my time on my own. It was in a place where 70% of the time we were there, we didn't have running water. We had to go to the river to collect water. Say 10% of the time we didn't have electricity. We were living in this wooden hut. In winter it was at least -14, sometimes down to -20, and 5 foot of snow. And we were working through it. It was wild. There was wolves, there was bears, the horseflies were the size of minivans. It was ridiculous. So I had so much time sat with, and for the first 6 months I didn't have a phone at all. The only access to the internet is if Scott let me use his internet for the iPad. And he only had a limited amount, essentially. So all there was me and quiet. Never experienced a place as quiet in my life, especially in winter when the animals have retreated. It was just quiet. So all these things that come up, these uncomfortable feelings, there was nothing to numb them with, nothing, nowhere to avoid them. There was no distraction, there was no sound, and I just really had an opportunity that I didn't want, but got to set with it. And I don't know if any of the audience has lived out in nature, but there's this whole romantic idea of I want to live off grid, I want to live deep in nature, and nature's not fair and vicious.
Harsh mistress of her.
Yeah, the energy that's there, it's an opportunist, and if you just let your guard down once, it's bang, and it'll take you out.
There's a reason our defence mechanisms have made us want to live in cities and communities. It ain't
exactly to make life more comfortable.
But you're living it.
It's uncomfortable. So I'm living this. I'm in this house, and we're in a rush to build some sort of things that we can survive in winter. Because for the first 5 months we were in tents. So we had to get up at 7, because in Croatia in the mountains it's hot in summer. It's 35 degrees in summer. It's -25 in winter. It's a big thing. So we were right, we need to figure out what we're doing for winter. Otherwise we will freeze to death. You had to be out of the tent at 6 in the morning because it was just sweltering. We didn't have running water, so we just had this little camping shower that we'd warm up a kettle on a fire and put it in there, and the head was 2 inches across, and we were just covered in dust because it had been left for 30 years. There was a war in Croatia, and this land and these houses, they were abandoned all that time ago. So they still had all the shit in them, and they were just covered in dust, and had spiders and snakes, and it was just we'd knock a ceiling down and we'd just be black. So yeah, really, really difficult. And then I'd go out into the forest. A few different things that happened, that were just what the hell? Are you serious? Just moments where I was just in that much shock that I was able to not be emotional in the moment and just be wow, this happened. That's absolutely mental.
Can you give us one example?
The main one was a house fire. Everything gone. Just one night. Luckily we weren't staying in that house. We were in the barn next to it, and just woke up, heard loads of tile smashing, walked outside, and it's just gone. Don't know why. Mouse chewed through the wire, something like that. All tools, everything gone. winter, -8 degrees outside, 3 foot of snow, all like shoes, van key, everything in this towering inferno. And it's just like, I stood there and I was freezing cold. Like, I'd found some shoes. Luckily, I was barefoot to begin with in the snow. And I was just sat there. I was just like, I'm so grateful for this heat. I was sat there. I was like, that's everything gone. I don't know what's going to do. I don't know if they're going to blame us, and I don't know if my life now, if this project's over because of this. But I'm really thankful for this heat. And I saw the two sides of, like, you know, when I mentioned before, the negatives and the positives, that was a real, like, pivotal moment for me where I was just like, thank you for the fire. And nothing else existed, all the negative stuff that possibly could come from it.
Stories.
Yeah, the stories, it was just like, I'm thankful for this heat. So that was a big thing. So Croatia was an interesting one because I got to this point where I decided to come home for a visit because my sister was ill at the time, and this was March, and then I booked a flight, and Scott, who was there, he's like, I don't know how long you're going to be away, so I'm going to go home for 2 weeks and I'll come back and you go. So he booked home, he went home for 2 weeks, and then the day he left I decided to go bouldering, like on my own, climbing, fell off like a 20-foot cliff, sprained my ankle. And because of the fire, we were living in an Airbnb, so I like limped back to the thing. I said to the workers, I said, you're going to have to feed the dogs, and I'm going to have to get in the car now while I can, get to the Airbnb and then sit this out, because I know, like, I just basically trapped my foot in my boot and was just like powering through the pain. Got to the thing, winter, obviously still. And we're in this Airbnb and we relied on the fire. All we had was the fire to keep warm. And it was only me there on my own, like in the middle of nowhere. So I had to, like, with this sprained ankle, like hop, chop wood, drag it back to have the fire to stay warm. No Wi-Fi, no nothing. So again, more time to sit with it. And at that moment, I was like, I really came to this point where it's like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to fully commit to Croatia. I really got to that, like, yes level. And then Scott came back, went to go on my flight, cancelled. COVID.
Are you tired of feeling run down? Maybe you're struggling with some sort of health condition, or it could be as simple as you're not reaching your fullest potential. Well, I found a solution. Isabella Nutrition's here to transform your life, show you the incredible healing power of nature. Let me just introduce to you Isabella Bradford Johnson, a skilled naturopathic nutritionist with a passion for showing you how to achieve optimum health, well-being, with tailor-made nutrition and lifestyle plans. She'll show you how to fill your life with vitality, renewed energy. Now, Isabella firmly believes that your body holds the key to your healing. She just wants to show you how to unlock it. Through the power of lifestyle and diet changes, Isabella will show you how to heal from within. Be that best version of yourself. Now, whether you're looking to improve your overall health or target a specific area, maybe it's gut or hormonal issues where she specialises, Isabella will have expert guidance and support to show you how to have a future filled with joy. Now, it's not about quick fixes, short-term solutions. No, it's about long-term transformation, sustainable results. So stop waiting to take care of your health. Go down to www.isabellabradfordjohnsonnutritionist.uk. Book a consultation with Isabella today. Embark on a journey filled with health, vitality, lasting well-being. Isabella Nutrition, empowering you to live your healthiest life.
First lockdown, I was in Croatia. Loved it. Happy. In fact,
Nothing had changed for you.
Nothing had changed for me. In fact, people weren't going to work, so I was actually speaking to people on Skype and all these things because they had time now. So it became more social for me. So I was like, yeah, buzzing. Then the COVID ended and my sister wasn't getting any better, so I went back, came back, started to go on like adventures, like with Will and Luke and Time and you. That's when I met you.
So willpower's come in now.
Yeah, Willpower was coming. Willpower was in before Croatia.
Okay.
He was
So
in.
you had met him, and he'd
the-
been at one of the conscious.
Yeah, he was part of the conscious community and connected with him. And
Because Willpower will have come out. He's actually the next episode.
yeah.
We love a bit of Willpower. Shout out to Will.
Willie. Yeah, so I was already made a relationship. We won't go into it because it was before.
Yeah, it's cool.
So came back and we were going on adventures. Luke got his camera. Like, I was working as a plasterer.
This is
straight
Luke Donnelly,
away.
not Luke Nephew.
Luke Donnelly, yeah. I was working for a plaster with Luke Nephew, earning money, and like I was like, I actually like this. I don't think I can go back. So I was like, I'm going to put off going back, and obviously I never went back.
Yeah.
Because
Thank
I
God.
don't know,
We wouldn't have you sat here right now.
The call was to stay.
Yeah.
You know, the call was to stay, and I did the plastering, and then I ended up going on a band of brothers. Started like doing stuff with a band of brothers, and I went on the weekend with them. Had a massive healing. They take the phone off you for the weekend. I'm speeding up for this part.
Well, don't worry. We have still got about 20 minutes left, but just so people who haven't seen Will's episode, what's Band of Brothers?
So
just in a nutshell.
A band of brothers is basically, it's not really basically. So it's a mentor charity where older men mentor younger men, and they have this rite of passage weekend where you go there and basically you're supported through a trauma release process is the best way. It's over the weekend and you connect with men, which is something that we have issues doing. Connect with men, and we're held by them, and we're able to express emotions and feelings without the worry of like, oh, soft.
Yeah,
soft
that
soft.
old toxic
Yeah.
masculinity judgment.
Exactly. So I did that, and I had a huge like healing. But they take the phone off you for a weekend. So again, like Croatia, you can't avoid what you're feeling through social media or through games or whatever other.
The death scroll, as you called it.
The death scroll, exactly. So anyway, I went through the weekend. It was beautiful, and actually before that weekend, me and Will and Luke did a 100-mile walk, and that's when I sort of killed off the barefooting, because it was 100 miles. I was going to do it all barefoot. I did 33 miles barefoot with a 20-kilo bag on my back, and I didn't realise that we'd be walking on sharp stones. So my knee gave way, so I had to put on my Vibrams and eventually finished the walk. So I made loads of money for a band of brothers and then went there. So there's been this really committed journey to mental health, essentially, and to growing. So I got my phone back, and literally I was put in a group that said Kambo ceremonies. And I was like, whoa, like, that's a sign. So
I remember this.
I booked on this Kambo ceremony. And then I went to Conscious Camp. And if anyone doesn't know what Conscious Camp is, it's a little conscious festival in Wales, which was sort of like, I got a lot of confidence from Conscious Camp, because that's when people first started to see the wizard and to say, oh, you're special. And it was actually Will's girlfriend at the time, Rainbow, that like was one of the first to say that. So I have a real like relationship with the place, and I went there, and my friend John, who's a Kambo practitioner, was there, and I was like, oh, hi John, how's it going? Like, how's the Kambo going? He's like, oh, I'm doing a training at my house next month. And I was like, whoa, like, that's a sign. How much is it? Like, I'd been collecting crypto and I had just enough to do it. So I was like, okay, sorry, I'm not coming to the ceremony, I'm doing the training. And then I booked on the training. I hadn't done Kambo for 4 years at that point, and then did the training, learned to be a practitioner. I'm obviously a practitioner now.
I've heard amazing things as well. Like, you hear the way people speak about them, because there's ways of doing it, isn't there?
Yeah,
The way he does it is next level.
Yeah, it's even more next level now. Like after the, I guess my recent relationship with the Nikki Cohen and the songs I've been learning. So I started working with Kambo heavily, and enjoying it, started to make money out of it. Plastering died away. Again, my life, it's like the universe goes, you're not doing that anymore, it's gone. You're gonna have to like make the most of what you've got right now, or you're just gonna have nothing. Like, you know, this is it's how it's had to train
And do
me.
you go on Indeed or Read or something,
No.
or do you go, do you know what, you said to me, declaration to the universe.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
that stuck with me. That was why I've invested so much, because I believe in sharing people like you with the people.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to do it, like people have heard Ruben's episode where it's the sound equipment just wasn't on point.
Yeah.
And to me, that's a travesty.
Yeah.
But it's my climbing the summit and realising I hadn't prepped right.
Yeah.
Right, let's show the universe we mean it. So
Exactly.
you've shown the universe, I've declared what's going on in there.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I'm not working in a shop. I'm not working in a garage, as like my mum suggested, which is fair enough, through fear.
They come
going
from that
under.
generation,
Exactly,
man.
Yeah,
So
yeah, exactly.
nothing but love and understanding, but not for me, not for the wizard.
Yeah, it's like, no. It's like, I'm either going to starve to death or I'm going to do something that I want to do, basically. And I'm not asked either one, you know.
Because it's a bit random, but Jim Carrey said, like, I watched my dad, he did something he hated, and then he died. Yeah. I'm going to do something I loved, and if I fail or not, I'm not asked. At least I died trying to do something I love, rather than doing something I didn't even care about.
Exactly that. And then reprogramming the brain in order to care about it and fully engage in it, and that's when you can become a success at it. But yeah, like I said, the declaration to the universe, it's like, I'm putting my resources, I'm putting a risk, and then the universe, in my experience, starts to bring, like, you know, something to equal the risk that you've taken in order to be feeling, whether, like, for me, it's like opportunities, DJing, or like for you, it's like guests who, you know,
Well, Hooney Cohen, Ruben, even people like you, like the fact that I can casually get you on because you're one of my boys, and that's like,
exactly.
That's mad a year ago.
Yeah, Dirtwire as well.
Dirtwire, like, that's mental. Like,
exactly.
380,000 views on one song, and I'm just there driving in the car with him. Like,
Exactly.
do you mind coming on the podcast?
Well, this works, and if you hadn't have, if you'd have just maintained the shit equipment, who would have known? Maybe that opportunity wouldn't have occurred.
I just personally believe that the manifesting thing's all great, but you get some people who think it's just about sitting there in meditation for an hour going, manifest. No. You've got to meet the universe halfway.
Yeah.
It needs to be intention, then action.
Yeah.
So,
you've got to take the opportunities that come.
That's the other thing.
Otherwise,
if you aren't looking for them, why do you think you'll find them?
Yeah.
You've got your eyes closed. Why would you see what's right in front of you?
Exactly. It's just like with the herbs, you know. It's like, and you know, I don't even have to look for herbs now. They call out to me. It's like I'm going for a walk, and it's like I just get it's like, whoa, you know. There's trying to think of a really good herb. We'll just go with wood sorrel because it's really tasty. You know, there's wood sorrel. Like, oh, try this, and then you know, I get a real buzz.
It's a buzz when you do it. When you give it me, and I'm like, that's better than this shit I'm putting on my food. That's mint.
Exactly.
So it looks like we've got, I'd say, about 20 minutes left.
Yeah, and we're almost here and now.
That's what I'm saying. But I also don't want to just gloss over how important. So the DJing, when does that come in?
The DJing,
because that is a big part of
the DJing. Came in after I met you.
Ooh, I'm in it now.
But it came in with the same time as the Kambo. Okay. So October's been a month. I started DJing in October, and I started like Kambo. My training for Kambo was in October, and it was the same time. And it aligned also when the Resonance Centre opened, like they didn't have any funding because obviously they just started, so they needed things to be done there in order to say like, this is what we're doing, we're active with it. So Juanita asked me to do something.
I'm going to get Juanita on, by the way.
You need to get Juanita on, Jesus. So it was, I met Juanita before. She told me about her plan before I went to Croatia, and then I came back after the building was built, and then just came in and sort of
slid you in.
Saved the day in that moment, essentially. So I did Earth Wizard School, and I didn't get paid for it. I just did it for free. But it was at the exact same time as my Kambo course. So I was going from the Kambo course and then teaching about herbalism and alchemy at the Resonance Centre. And then, you know, it's like, things are happening here, can we get funding? That's what she wanted at the time. So I was paying into the Resonance Centre at that time and developing that relationship, which is, you know, something that I will say is so important, develop relationships with the right people. Collaborations, exactly. And as we know, like, I was spending time with Will and Luke, and they had their own event.
That was at the Boom Car.
Boom Car, yeah. And I'd always wanted to be a DJ. I'd always looked up there from my Sankeys. Not always, actually. I wanted to be a DJ since after I came back from South America. Since I started producing, I wanted to be a DJ.
So there'd been that desire for a while now.
Exactly. In Croatia, like towards the end, like we got Wi-Fi and all these things. So I was like listening to music and developing this like want for music. And then I came back and I was like, I want to listen to more music. So I got a mini rig and then got Tidal, which is an app similar to Spotify. And then after my Kambo and after the Band of Brothers, like I cleared quite a lot, obviously. And I was like, you know what? I'm getting some DJ decks and I'm doing it. You know, I've got a MacBook. My MacBook broke before I went to Croatia, but it was water damage. And while I was away, like Becky, like ex-girlfriend at the time, bless her, like she took it into the shop and got it fixed. Because when I left Croatia, it wasn't possible to fix it. When I came back, just before I came back, they developed the technology to fix it.
Divine timing and all that.
Exactly. So then I came back to my computer, so I got the decks and got the software, and then find out that you can stream through Tidal, so you don't have to buy all the tracks. So I just got really good really quick, and I DJ'd for Boomka. And then Lizzie, who does Born Free at the Resonance Centre, she started that. And then I messaged Juanita and said, like, can I DJ? And then started DJing there, and then I was DJing regularly. So I was picking up the practice, and then that led me to like meet Josh on a walk, similar walk
That's
to you.
Joshua Obasuki.
Yeah.
For people who don't know him because he's not been released yet, that's Transmute, by the way.
What, he might have been released by the time this is out?
No, he's going to come out after you. We've decided that.
Okay, cool. So anyway, yeah, soon to be in your awareness. Unless you got to Transmute Arignani last Friday of every month. So like started to work with Josh because we met him. He started Transmute and then started doing Arignani, started dance, and then I did a Boomka at Victoria Warehouse, and that's where I met Nikki, who I now do Temple with.
Who we have had Nikki on.
We've had Nikki on.
Yeah. You can see all these, see all these people connecting now. I love it.
It's just like so really, really quickly, like because of the connections that I've built like before going to Croatia within the spiritual community, and just the person that I've been, which is just really chill, nice, really helpful, like in many ways helping before Croatia, helping to validate and to maintain friendships through fear of losing them, essentially. Got to like the point where I got my decks, and then there was just so much opportunity, so I DJ'd often, and then I was obviously producing before. My computer that I had before didn't have the ability to produce music anymore. So then I started working on the land here, as you know, with the trees, like where we were working together, and was able to buy my new decks and buy my new computer and then start producing again. And now I'm making a conscious effort, because still had that disinterest. Like producing is the most exciting, boring thing in the world. It's like you make something work and you're like, yay, and then you just realize that you've got to mix and master it, and you've got to manage all the levels, and you know, it sounds good on this sound system, it doesn't sound good on that sound system. It's like and so I've got a program that doesn't want to do that, so now I'm trying to reprogram that program to want to do that, or to find the necessity in order to do that. That's where I'm at in my life right at this moment in time. But because I had an infinite library of songs to DJ with, and I'm also really creative anyway, and I also had opportunity to DJ with pressure, essentially, but without pressure as well. You know what I mean? Like it's not.
It wasn't life or death.
Yeah, exactly.
We weren't feeding the kids.
It wasn't DJing at a festival or anything like that. It was just like, you know, it's the Resonance Centre. There was a few people there, and it built. And you know, I haven't done really many bad sets, maybe one or two possibly. To be honest, like, and I don't blow smoke up people's arse. If I think you're not good, I'll keep my mouth shut. For me, you're up there with SK Beats. Like the way, like his is different, obviously, but it's like, oh my god, that's actually. Because could you just give people a bit of an understanding behind what ecstatic dance is? Because for me, yours is giving me a chance to really process and express energy.
that didn't know how to release before you brought the music. And it isn't just let's have a dance. It's fucking healing.
Yeah.
So please just give them an understanding. What is Arignani to you?
So Arignani, first of all, the concept came from Croatia actually, where we wanted to name the place. The place is called Yogiville. It's an amazing place. Like I recommend going there and like learning yoga under yogi. It's one of the best yogis in the world, in my opinion. But it's called Yogiville, which is the one that's called in India. So we had this idea of like, maybe we should call it something different. And so we looked at other names, and Arignani became the one of them. We didn't call it that. It's still named Yogiville, I guess for branding reasons, which I understand now. At the time, I was a bit like, it's my best name. I was
very mature.
Yeah, I was a bit of a brat. So anyway, that name always stuck.
Yeah.
And then when I was talking to Josh about it, I was like, Arignani. And it's like both. She's the goddess of the forest in the Vedic tradition. I spent a lot of time in the forest, like probably that, I guess that essence that essence of nature that inspired Arignani as a deity. I've probably spent a lot of time with it, so it seemed perfect. And what I learned from nature, from its harshness more than its beauty, really, is that everything in nature is playing a part in the larger whole that makes nature beautiful, that makes the planet work, that makes everything work, you know. And some of it's ugly as sin. Some of it, you look at it and you're like, oh, that's horrendous, you know, like the parasites and all these things, and like the Lyme's disease and like the predators and what, you know, the list is endless of atrocities that if you experience them as a person, the other person would be going to jail or worse, you know what I mean? So horrendous, but so necessary for the beauty of the whole thing. So these beings, they're just expressing their frequency, they're expressing their nature and expressing what they came here to be, and nothing more, nothing less. So Arignani, and I guess the inspiration behind it, is that even if we believe that we're going to be judged to be ugly for doing something or moving in a certain way, or do it anyway because it's important for the greater whole, like if it's expressed from the heart, it's beautiful, no matter what is no matter what other people's judgments think, or what you think other people's judgments think, which is really the concern. If you don't care, then who cares what they think? So the way that I design my music and my sets, my DJ sets, is to create a diversity of music, a diversity of possibilities for the body to move in certain ways. And if we get into an ecstatic dance and suddenly like this really like classical music comes on and you want to move like a ballerina, and something in your mind goes like, whoa, you're a dude, you can't move like a ballerina, like you can't do a pirouette spin. What about if you fall over?
Watch me.
Yeah, it gives you an opportunity, or the person an opportunity, to work through that thing that comes, because it's the same mechanism that comes in when it's like, oh, do I sing in front of someone, you know, or do I put my hand up in a share, or do I put my hand up for this job? It's the same thing that goes, no, don't do it.
Well, you taught me, and I've used this since, that it's not even just that you have to move. You can use different ways to express that energy. And one thing that has saved me, I was having an absolute mare on the mushrooms. The mushrooms were trying to show me something, and it was fucking, we'll call it unpleasant sensations, to put it politely. And you was talking to me, I think we were planting trees, and you were like, it's just trying to be expressed. What's the sound then? If you can't move in that way, what's the sound? It was just, or, and I just sat down. I had mushrooms, not too many, respectfully. I just went into it because I knew it was blasting me out there, and I just sat there and I went, and it was this unburdening, and it didn't need to be projected at another human being. It didn't need to be violence. It didn't need to be judgment or disgust. It just needed to be, and that's been so helpful for me. And I just felt that was important to share with people.
Yeah.
Because who on earth for you is also who on earth for the people you affect.
Yeah, of course. And, you know, I really experience that because I was on my own in the forest a lot, so I could do whatever I wanted.
Yeah.
I went for a walk in the forest and never met another soul. I could just do whatever I wanted. So I made different sounds and all these sorts of things. But yeah, Arignani was designed in order to facilitate the unlocking of these things for people. And, you know, that's why I incorporate like the Huni Kuin songs that they sing in ayahuasca ceremonies within there. It's like a ceremonial ecstatic dance, which is why it's unique.
That's important to me, that bit, I think.
Yeah. So I'd sing at the start, but more like a prayer, and then it moves through into breathwork and cacao ceremony, into contact improv, which I don't know, it's confronting this contact improv, especially with the music that I give to them. You know, it's like it's funky stuff. It's funky stuff. The way
it's done with thought, though, isn't it? It's not just winging it.
Yeah, it's done to make you feel awkward, but also if you don't feel awkward, you'll feel beautiful. Like you'll feel free.
Because once you break that block, the love can flow then, and it's like, hey, what is this?
So a lot of ecstatic dancers, it's just like and different sounds, whereas I really like to expand, which has come over time. It's come over time.
Yeah, it's a journey, isn't it? Yeah. Journey of the Earth Wizard, as this episode is. Which, by the way, a little side one, me and you did a little... I told him that I do floating meditation journeys. We did Journey of the Earth Wizard, where we incorporate David's music, and that got the best response. And people could not believe that we had actually not practiced it. Because there is something about me and you where I personally just believe that we just work. Yeah. We just work so easily. And it was like, we discussed it. We knew the story and what song meant what and what the flute meant to you. But actually performing it was just effortless.
Well, this is a declaration that, like, I played one festival in Czech Republic, but I don't have many sets online because I do the streaming thing. But I never prepare the set. I just have a really long playlist and I just wing it at the time. And intuitively, wing it, intuitive, whatever. At the time, and I don't know what happened. I don't remember now. Like sometimes now, like I've started now because I do want to develop into more and make a career out of it. It's like, right, okay, I'll do that, but I'll write down what I'm playing. And then afterwards I'll re-record it. Yeah. So then I can get it out. I'll buy the tracks and re-record it because you can't record a set if you stream the tracks, which is important if you're thinking of getting into it and think this is sweet. Like that was what I was worried about, finding the music. You can't record a stream set. Where was I going with that?
Well, I tell you what, and this is not because I want this to end. It's just time restrictions on the equipment and such. I always like to ask people how they can find you, because this is the sort of stuff where people can reach out to you. If it's anything like the Kambo, the Master Medicines, whatever it is, the music, they want to reach out, where can they find you?
There's Earth_Wzrdry on Instagram. David Morris on Facebook, but also Earth_Wzrdry is on there as well. Social media is definitely something that I need to work on myself.
Well, I'll put links in, but if anything ever updates, I can easily update the episodes. And plus, I think, obviously, you're one of my good friends. So there's other stuff that we've not even been able to touch on.
Yeah, there's so much.
So, Who on Earth can't be wrapped up in one episode or even two? So I'd love to get you back on. Yeah. But is there anything in this moment that you just want to leave the audience with?
Anything I want to leave the audience with? I guess I just speak how I've been speaking to myself recently, and what I've been working through recently is these programs. It's the mechanism of the mind to develop programs to keep us safe, and they're developed from trauma, and we can clear the trauma, but the program still runs and still exists just like it does on the computer. So you might feel resistance doing the things that you love to do, like whether it's creative or whether it's functional or whatever it is, you may feel that resistance, but just keep doing it. It doesn't, and I'm speaking to myself here as well, it doesn't need to be perfect straight away. It's the action of doing it and doing it and doing it, and the things that you learn which will eventually create who you are and what you are.
Beautiful. Yeah. All right, brilliant. And guys, Any likes or shares or reviews, they always go a long way, but I feel like this is a special one. Can we finish it with a flute?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think people have been looking at that for like the last 4 weeks. All right, guys, if you're not operating heavy equipment or driving, I would close down my eyes and just let the wizard do his magic. Ouch. Peace and love, guys. Thanks for coming on, brother.
Thank you.
Can you see why I love him? What a guy. Mr. Wzrdry, Sinestry, whatever you want to call him. David Morris to his mother. But yeah, can you just see how much he's got to offer this world? What a dude. That's why I've been dying to share him with you people. I hope part 2 was exciting as part 1 was. Both were fantastic for myself. Now, Mr. Wzrdry is available, so go check out the links in the description. So if you want to go down to maybe one of the events, you want to do the Kambo one-to-one stuff or in a group setting, just get him down at maybe like a birthday party, even like his DJing skills. His ecstatic dance, Arignani, temple events, and then this Dance of the Dragons that they started doing. Plus, he's got the Monday class as well at Manchester Yoga Central, where it's yoga and sound. So if any of that, after you've watched him, you want to get to know him more, you want to get involved, the links will be there for you to find him. Again, links for myself, anything to do with meditation. Trust me, if you can be fully present with any sensation, be fully present and unburden yourself from all that trauma that we've got held inside, can you imagine what life would be like? That's why it's my purpose, it's why it's my passion. So one-to-ones, online classes, in-person classes, not caches, and the event, don't forget, Journey Home, the last Saturday of this month, but there'll always be another floating meditation journey. So if the time has gone, just look on my links, which I'll put in the description. Again, it's happening at Transmute, but there's so much more happening at Transmute as well. Ecstatic dance, yoga, drum classes, jams, mute. You want it for the birthday? I'm having my birthday there. So, it's definitely something that you want to check out. So I'll put the link for that. And Isabella Nutrition. I say it every time, but look, you put the wrong fuel in the car, don't matter what else you've done to it, it ain't going nowhere. So let's put the right fuel in you. Through Isabella Nutrition, you will be able to fill the cup up. Now, episode 16, our Wzrdry story has come to a stop for now. probably see him again because there's so much to it. We barely even touched on some of the other stuff like the master medicines or the Nikki Cohen drive and all that. Plus, he'll have done a million things by then. Next up, though, not just any Proudfoot, Amy Proudfoot. That joke's going to make far more sense in episode 17, by the way. But Amy Proudfoot's going to be on now. She's a quirky one. She definitely is a quirky one. I love her to bits. She's funny, man. But also, she's gone from like mass dysregulation, bashing out the drink and getting on it and all that sort of stuff, and gone from this place of not feeling safe in her body, not doing the stuff that's feeding her soul correctly, whatever you want to call it. But then she starts to realise there's other ways of going about it. You're going to find those ways out for yourself by watching. It's done in a humorous way. She's funny, like I said. She's insightful. She's got a load of wisdom. She's even doing these things lately where it's called, I'll see if I can say this right, sober socials. There we go. I usually say sociable sobles or something. But the so I see, I'm terrible at it. Sober socials. Say that 10 times really fast. And it's about connecting people, maybe going on walks, cold water dipping, events, meetups, whatever, where there's no need to get off, where you can just feel comfortable. You can just be with everybody. You have to lower your conscious with these unnecessary things. You can just be fully present with these people, network with like-minded people, and she's got loads of different things on like that. So next week, episode 17, not just any Proudfoot, it will make sense that, Amy Proudfoot. And finally, any likes, just a little, go on, just ta-da, share, makes a massive difference. So if you want to support the show, and if you don't want to miss any of these fantastic episodes, I mean, here's a few shout outs for you while you're waiting for Amy Proudfoot. Nikki Cohen through David. Those two are highly linked. Echo as well. That'd be an episode if you like the David one. And who else would you like? If you Ruben, go check. I know the sound ain't great, but there's subtitles for that one. So go check Ruben out as well. They're all linked with David. I mean, almost all of the guests are. So while you're waiting, go check them out. Echo's episode 1, Ruben's episode 3 and 4, and Nikki's episode 12. Check that for memory. And then we will have Amy. Now, there's nothing else for me to say apart from peace and love.